Alrighty, guys, so I've been splitting out in the previous segments of this podcast episode. I've been splitting out different announcements from CinemaCon because I think there's a lot to talk about in terms of some major bits of news. Spider-Man 4, for example, Spider-Man Brand New Day. But, you know, I think for Universal, as I looked at Universal and their slate of news and announcements, I didn't think there was anything in particular that warranted me making individual segments. However, there are a few bits of news here, and I'm not going to cover everything in this segment because a lot of it is really, hey, look at this new exclusive clip for the movie that we're not going to show the public, and that's fine. People who go to CinemaCon deserve to see those clips. But for us, it's, well, yeah, the movie's coming. Wicked 2, coming. Jurassic World Rebirth, coming, you know? So for me, there wasn't a whole lot, but there are little bits and pieces here that I think are worth talking about in an overall segment. So in this segment in particular, we're going to compile, I think four particularly interesting bits of news that just, you know, it's not hey, look at this footage. It's more of an actual announcement that they made, and we'll talk about them pretty quickly before we move on to the next segment. So this is going to be a quick recap of some interesting things that I thought were notable at the Universal CinemaCon panel, which happened, I guess, by the time you're listening to this past week. And CinemaCon, usually a chance for the theater distributors to have a big convention with all the movie studios coming and presenting what they're going to be showing in the theaters over the next couple of years, which is exciting. So first up here, and I'm looking at an article from The Direct that we're just going through really quickly. First big announcement I wanted to talk about, How to Train Your Dragon 2 is officially confirmed. It's coming out on June 11th, 2027. Now, the first reactions we just talked about for How to Train Your Dragon were very good. They were really, really good. So the movie hasn't come out yet, but it seems like the studio is very confident that they're going to be greenlighting already How to Train Your Dragon 2. The only other piece of news that I think is significant with this is that they confirmed it's going to be an adaptation of the second film. So it's not going to be an original film stemming from the live action movie. It's not going to be even based on one of the books. It's going to be basically a remake of the second movie, or the second animated movie, which again, you know I'm a little iffy on, right? But if it's going to be good, then it's going to be good. So How to Train Your Dragon 2 coming out June 11th, 2027. Next little bit here, it's a pretty significant bit of news here is Jordan Peele's next movie, which I believe is coming out in December, I want to say. No, it's coming out on September 19th, pretty soon, relatively soon. It's called Him, H-I-M, all in caps. And this is an interesting premise, right? All of Jordan Peele's movies have very interesting premises. I have not seen Us yet, but I have seen Get Out. I love Get Out. And I have seen Nope. Didn't love Nope. So, but he always swings for the fences here. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he has up next with Him. And the description of this movie is really interesting. It's starring Marlon Wayans and Tariq Withers. Withers. And they came on the stage to talk about the film. And this is how they described it. Wayans described the movie as, quote, a sports movie with a twist, while Withers commented that it collides sports with horror. It's about a college football star who suffers a major injury before getting the chance to be coached by one of his biggest idols. So obviously that biggest idol is going to be some kind of villain, right? We all know that. I don't know how you're going to make a football horror movie, but go for it, Jordan Peele. I mean, whatever you do, you swing for the fences. And that's all good for me. So we'll see what he has in store for us September 19th. Next big thing wanted to talk about here is the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 teaser trailer. So interestingly enough, right? I was a big fan of the games. I used to watch a lot of the lore explanations and game theories and things like that for Five Nights at Freddy's. Have fallen off a little bit since it got really crazy with AI and mimics and whatnot. But, you know, I'm a pretty big fan of the franchise. And so when the first film came out, I thought, okay, let's give it a shot. Didn't love the film. And a primary reason why is that I, as somebody who is not super into horror, thought the movie was not that scary. I mean, you have these animatronics and they're terrifying. They're moving so slowly and it was shot so unconvincingly. You know, it just didn't feel scary. And so it made a lot of money, though, because it has a huge fan base. And that's not, you know, it's not guaranteed for all big fan bases of video games, right? They don't all come out to see these movies. Sonic, for example, Sonic had to build up that audience. And Detective Pikachu, even though Pokemon is arguably the biggest game franchise in the history of the world. So, yeah, it's not guaranteed. But Five Nights at Freddy's 1 made a decent bit of money that they greenlit a second movie. And really the big thing I have here is that make a good story, make a coherent story, and just make it frightening, you know, interesting, right? Something to kind of laugh about, scream at, or do whatever. You know, it's just make it something interesting. And they released a longer trailer at CinemaCon that I'm not going to read the description for, but they released also to the public a very short teaser trailer. I'm not going to lie, it's pretty much the same as the first movie. It doesn't give me any more or less hope that it's going to be something different. It just kind of gives me the same vibes as the first trailer, or the first movie. So I don't know what to expect. It has a lot of classic cues from Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the video game, with the music box and with Balloon Boy and a lot of other things going on there. So I don't know what to expect. We'll see. I hope that it's a little bit more frightening and a little more dramatic, because the first movie was just kind of boring in my opinion. So we'll see about that. Final bit of news here that I want to talk about is that the April 2026 release date for Illumination Universal has been confirmed to be the Super Mario Bros. Movie 2. I don't think this was confirmed before. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was just untitled Nintendo film, or I guess DreamWorks Illumination Nintendo film. We all assumed it was the Super Mario Bros. Movie 2, and unless I missed something here, I think this is the first official confirmation that this is going to be in that April 2026 release date. The first film came out April 2023, made over $1 billion, and it was very, very successful. I enjoyed it. Didn't love it, but I enjoyed it very much as somebody who grew up playing Super Mario. So I'm excited for the second movie, and if the post-credit scene is any tease, then bring on Yoshi's Island, right? So we'll have to see how that movie goes. In terms of other things, like I said, there was a lot of, hey, look at this clip from this movie, right? And a lot of movies I'm excited about. For example, Jurassic World Rebirth, I'm pretty excited about. And obviously Wicked for Good, Wicked 2, Wicked Part 2, very, very excited about. But just didn't really want to talk about those, because, I even though footage descriptions are online for a lot of these things, I actually didn't read a lot of them, honestly, because I'm not interested. I know Superman had footage description released online. I didn't even read it, because I'm in the business of knowing as little as possible while also doing this quote-unquote job. It's not a job, just doing this podcast and talking about the news, and so I only talk about the trailers. So as far as I'm concerned, the less I know, the better. So there is that. Guys, those were the big announcements I wanted to talk about at Universal's CinemaCon panel, aside from, of course, the first reactions to How to Train Your Dragon. What do you think about any of these announcements? Do any of these surprise you, or are all these as expected? Let me know in the comments down below.